The instructions are organized in 4 different ways. Option 1 with Decoville, option 1 with foam, option 2 with Decoville, option 2 with foam. There's a lot of similarities in how they are sewn, but they are slightly different. So I'm going to start with option 1 with Decoville, and for that you will need your 2 piece A exteriors and your piece B exterior and your piece E stiffener. Now because we use Decoville, I took my piece A and you can either fold your piece, or I just went ahead and cut it along the dotted lines for the Decoville. And I fused it to the back of my vinyl. Now, I have to warn you that vinyl and Decoville are really hard to get into a frame. So this is for the more experienced bag makers, this combination. And the first step will be to sew these together along the bottom straight edge. The seam allowance for this pattern is 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter unless otherwise indicated. If you forget that seam allowance, if you ever want to check, I have it on the bottom of each pattern piece. Now, if you have a fabric that is easy to iron, then I would just iron this seam flat. But my vinyl won't stay flat, so I'm going to top stitch it down, and this seam will not be visible in the final purse. So it can be as messy as or as crooked. It doesn't matter if it's messy or crooked because nobody will see it. Now, other than the Decoville, when you are doing the foam version, you'll sew these together without interfacing and move forward the same as these steps that I'm doing. All right, now we will take the piece B and the piece E. I am going to be adding purse feet to this one, so I made sure I poked a hole through where the purse feet marks are, and I made sure to mark on the right side of my piece B where those feet will be. Now I'm going to take my interfacing and center it on the bottom, on the wrong side, right in the middle. If you used a fusible interfacing, you can fuse this right now. I didn't, but I am going to grab some double-sided tape just to keep this in place. Double-sided tape can be frustrating to work with, but I really like this stuff that I bought from Wawak, W-A-W-A-K. It will gum up your needle though, so I try to keep it out of where I'll be stitching. So I'm going to center this right in the middle. And I'm going to sew this in place. Oh, looks like I have it a little off center, so I'm going to fix that. And I'm just going to sew it. You can sew it to the bottom however you want. You can do a fancy design, you can do an X. I'm just going to do a straight line. And I'm sewing about 3/8 of an inch from the edge of this interfacing. Okay, so that's sewn together. And now, if you have clips, you can just fold this over in place. Or I also am going to use double-sided tape here to keep it in place, even though I will be stitching through it. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my my pattern pieces on the video screen, but sometimes I get off the screen. This is why I love double-sided tape. No need to use a bunch of clips. All right, now we are going to be centering this right in the middle of this bottom part. And once again, I'm going to use some double-sided tape to keep it in place. If you don't have that, you can put some clips on the end, or you can use some like this on each end, and you can use some glue sticks, but I'm going to use some double-sided tape, just a little bit to keep it in place. Oops, a little shorter than that. Sometimes doing little things like this feels like it takes a while, but it makes it so much easier to get nice straight stitches and to keep things in place. So it's worth the time. I just cut my nails yesterday, or the other day, because I play the violin, but it makes it a lot harder to get my double-sided tape in place. Okay, I'm going to try to move my camera so you can see what I'm doing over here. And I'm just centering it at both ends. Whoa, sorry about that. Centering it at both ends. and then sticking it in place. Okay, hopefully we have everything in place now so that my video camera won't fall over again. Okay, I have lengthened my stitch, both because I'm sewing over vinyl and because I'm sewing through several layers. And I'm going to sew about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of this base. I'm just going to pivot and sew to this other end. This part of the seam won't show later on, but I'm just doing this for ease. Okay, we're almost done with this part of the exterior, but I am now going to install my purse feet. Sorry, it's hard to do this part on the camera because apparently if I move my camera over, the whole tripod falls over. So I'm just going to finish this one and do the rest of them off camera. All right, and we're now ready to move on to the next step. And of course, I forgot to mention, if you were doing foam, now is where you would add that foam. And so you would place this, you would open it all the way up and take your foam piece. This is for my other purse, not for this purse. But you would center it here, and it, on the edges, it's going to go all the way to the edges. And you can just baste it on either side, or you can simply hold it in place with fabric clips. But that is what you do if you have foam.